Laurie, I know the house view is 25, and I just wonder if we get that 25, and of course, welcome to the programme, by the way. If we do get that 25, how vulnerable certain trades like the small caps actually are?
Hi, John. So thanks for having me. Look, I think it's a great question. And we were watching the small caps just surge on Friday as the renewed optimism about the 50 basis point cut came up as well. And look, I think small caps have a lot going for them. But the reality is that valuations are full and positioning is also full. If you go back a few months ago, they looked underowned. They looked cheap. We're just not there anymore. And now we've got a lot of Fed optimism baked in. So I do think in the short term, at least, if we're just thinking about the week ahead, I do worry a bit that if we get the 25 rather than the 50, which propelled small caps to these great heights on Friday, that there could be a bit of a reversion in the small caps. I think that, we really have sort of more of the fast money crowd sort of driving that trade right now. If you look at recent flows into small cap, they have been all passive driven, and that passive money does tend to be very, very fickle.
You have a nuanced view here, Laurie, with respect to not only how much the Fed cuts, but also the economic data behind it that needs to keep this going. There was this feeling that the Fed was on track to cut by 50 basis points without real pain visible in the U.S. economy. How much is any kind of weakening, even if not a recession, sort of a bear case right now for small caps?
So I think that small caps really need the needle to be threaded. And what I mean by that is if you go back and look at past cutting cycles, small caps do really, really well and embark on a longer term outperformance cycle if you get a recession, if you break the economy. It's small cap 101 to say you sell them on the way into a recession, you buy them on the way out. And you tend to see that pivot midway through. But if we don't get that and we get some sort of economy that's still growing, I do think it depends on what kind of growth we get. And if you look at the other side of the equation, we really do need a hot economy, above average GDP, for small caps to really keep going if you look at recent trading data since, say, 2015, 2016. And if we're just, I think it comes down, Lisa, what do you mean by soft landing? A soft landing that's looking at like 1.5% type GDP growth, maybe even 2%. I don't think that quite cuts it for small cap. I think you need something more like 2.5% to 3% or better.